Welcome back. I'm here with Michael Rathman. How are you doing?
Doing good, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. So, Michael's the founder of AdSumo Digital. It's a boutique email marketing agency that helps e-commerce brands scale profitably through direct response, email, and SMS marketing. And they're doing a great job. I've seen some of the insights, some of the results they're able to generate, and they're crushing it in the e-com space.
Thanks,
So
man.
to kick things off, what's your story? How did you
Yeah.
get into the world of e-com and email marketing?
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for the intro, man. I appreciate it. Glad to be here as well. E-com's always been interesting, man. I first found e-com probably like every other person our age on YouTube. Someone, it went from like watching cool you know, this is my life as a young millionaire videos, how to make money online to finding e-com and drop shipping and those kind of things. And I dabbled with that when, in like 2018, I started a drop shipping store, or 2017, I was still in high school. I spent all my money on some ads. I got two sales. One was my mom and one was some random lady in Ohio. And then I ran out of money for ads. So I went and got a
What did you
job.
sell?
It was, my brand was called Pet Express. And we were selling those, comfort dog beds that had like the crease on the edge. So you could put the dog was comfortable. I sold one for like $72. It was cool. It cost me
Nice.
like $6. It was back in the old days too. It was just Oberlo and Shopify connected with the AliExpress pictures on the product page and on the ads because I didn't order the product. So it was amazing. But that first Shopify notification, man, 8 in the morning, I woke up, 8:01, I heard the cha-ching, and I was like, what in the world was that? And that was like my first taste of online money. Um, and that's when I kind of like fell in love with e-com and kind of became obsessed with it. Tried a bunch of things between then and now. Landed on wanting to get into copywriting, and 2 years ago, that snowballed into starting an email marketing agency for e-commerce brands because I know the e-commerce brands out there listening needed more than just a Google Doc with some words in it. They needed the Klaviyo strategy. They needed to, come up with campaigns, and just the copy on a doc was not enough. So that quickly snowballed into an actual email marketing agency, which we are today.
Nice. And why email marketing? Because I mean, with copywriting, you could also go into ads, landing pages, websites.
I don't know. I kind of just happened naturally. It was like the first thing after I was like, I'm gonna do copywriting, and email copy was just next on the bullet point list down. And so that's where I started, and that's kind of where I stopped because I also really started to like the business model of an email agency. In other words, the kind of brands we're helping. Where as an email agency, email's only useful for brands that are kind of already up and running and kind of getting some results. So that working relationship with brands that are already doing well, and we're coming in, taking something that they already, they're already spending money on ads. They already have a list that they're not utilizing. It was nice and easy to sell at the beginning as well. Just saying, hey, you have this email list. It could be generating you XYZ. I've never done this before for anybody, but I'd be willing to help your brand do XYZ, and you already have it. No ad spend or anything like that. So it was an easy pitch in the beginning, and then it was just more interesting than ads. I'd never been an ads manager aside from my two sales back in the day. So Klaviyo just came up first, and we stuck with it.
Nice. And would you say that most e-commerce brands neglect email marketing, or that they put like too much attention on ads and like the other aspects and not enough on email?
I think they underutilize it, but a lot of the times I'm seeing it's for the right reasons. If a brand's coming to us and they're doing 150K a month and they've neglected email, 7 out of 10 times it's because they scaled so quick that the founder stopped running the emails because it was too busy. He maybe they maybe send one a week. If they're on top of it, maybe they're still sending one a month. But it's all a lot of the times because they scaled too quickly, or in some cases they're like, hey, we're at 50, 60K a month. but we've been in business for 15 years. We have a list of 40,000. We've never emailed them. So a lot of the times it's because focus is elsewhere, and you kind of need to do that in the beginning. We talk to so many brands that are, under 20K a month, and they're like, "Hey, I want to get into email marketing." I'm like, "Hey, I love that for you, but like, I'd much rather see you spend that money on ads, and find a good agency out there like Andrej or anybody that you can find and get the site traffic to your website. Then email marketing becomes profitable and ROI positive. But yeah, so a lot of the times it's for the right reasons, or they just waited too long to get into it from that first scaling episode they had.
Yeah, that makes sense. At what point would you say it's a no-brainer that the brand should invest into email marketing? Is it based on the traffic, based on the revenue?
Yeah, a couple of things there. I would say email marketing as a whole we'll talk about. In the beginning, I would at least have a pop-up on the website if you're pushing traffic to it. If you're spending money on ads, if you're paying influencers, you're getting traffic to your site already, you have to have a pop-up. The pop-up's going to collect the emails, get them on your list. If not, you're wasting the traffic that you're spending to get on your website. I think top 10 Shopify conversion rate, it's like 2.56%. You're in the top 10%. That means 97.8% of people or whatever it is aren't buying. So what are you doing with those? You got to capture them. That's bare minimum. That should be from day one, once your site's actually launched and getting traffic. Go on Klaviyo. You don't have to pay any third parties. Go on whatever you can find. Klaviyo is really cheap if you don't have an email list. And even up to your first like 10,000 subscribers, it's pretty cheap. Other than that, as far as full scale email marketing, I've been telling people to, in the beginning, just get some plain text emails out there. As a founder, from the founder, write a plain text welcome email, write a plain text abandoned cart, write a plain text abandoned checkout, plain text post purchase. Just get the basic stuff out there. Think what 6 emails can I write? First email of your main flows. Write them from the founder, plain text, no design, that costs you nothing but 2, 3, 4 hours of time. They're going to be in there in your Klaviyo account that you already have because of a pop-up, and you're actually going to make money from those. Plain text emails work really well, especially when they're really authentic. You don't have to be a good writer. It's probably going to be better if it sounds a little busted from the founder. So get those going. That costs you nothing but a little bit of time. Aside from that, 50 to 80K a month is when you're like, okay, my flows should be doing 30% of my sales. At a certain point, that's 15 to whatever $1,000 a month. That's when it starts to become reasonable to look at getting your flows rebuilt, getting consistent campaigns sending to your list. If you're at 80K a month or more, if you're at 150K a month or more and you're not doing email marketing, that's just a lot of money sitting there every month, just waiting to be captured from the people you've already paid to acquire on your website and on your list. So that's kind of the benchmarks there. But there's so much you could do before having to hire an agency.
Yeah. And the first thing that you mentioned was like the pop-up, just to get subscribers on the list. What would you say is currently like the best offer that you can do to get like a high percentage of people to sign up to the list?
Yeah, my favorite, if the client can do it, if the brand can make it feasible, and if it's more profitable, is a free gift with purchase. I know there's a lot of one-stop shops out there that don't have other products or complementary products, but that works really well. And then a lot of brands are shifting to whatever's more profitable right now. If you're normally getting an 8% conversion rate on your pop-up, but you can get a 5% and save a lot of margin, it's probably a good time to do it with all the tariff situations going around. That's what we're kind of seeing. Aside from that, because I know that could be gone in a couple months, whatever's more profitable is really the best offer. You're gonna test as many offers as possible. You're gonna have 7 losers for every 2 winners you find. So you're gonna have some losers. You're gonna have some down months on your conversion rate because you're testing. But quick pop-up like tutorials, like just a little micro commitment. Ask a question, yes or no, or collect some data. What are you shopping for? Are you here to, I always refer to mud water. It's a coffee replacement that has some mushrooms in there. Some people come because they're ditching coffee. Some people don't want to do caffeine anymore. Some people want to explore the mushroom benefits. Those are three welcome flow opportunities you can kind of use to boost conversion rates because your messaging can be specific, but that all stems from a pop-up. So simple yes or no question or collect some data, email, SMS, show the code on the pop-up. Don't push them to your email because someone on YouTube that does email marketing said to only send the code on the email because then it's attributed to email sales. Put it on the website so they can buy right away is kind of the goal.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Do you have any experience with using like exit intent pop-ups on e-commerce sites? Because I've heard Alex Hormozi say that for them, the exit intent pop-ups make like 30% of the overall lead volume that they're getting. So like a crazy high amount of opt-ins from those pop-ups that only appear when someone tries to leave the page. But I've never really seen those be used on e-commerce sites.
Yeah, I would say for info funnels, I could see those ripping. There's some e-com brands out there that do it well. Klaviyo's exit intent pop-up is so finicky. You might set it up and you might not even be able to get it to trigger. And then you factor in if you're on, an iOS device, it kind of treats you as a new user every time you hit the website. And so it's very finicky. But I'm assuming Hormozi works with, if there are e-commerce brands. I know there's some e-commerce brands that follow him. They're kind of like influencer info products, e-com brands. I'm sure something like ClickFunnels, if you're running a ClickFunnels page for your e-commerce brand, exit intent pop up with a fat offer because they're about to leave is super, super beneficial. We've done some things as well where, we only collect the email and then we do like a second pop up where this person's already an account in Klaviyo. They've already made an email. Now we're trying to get the SMS at a different time. So maybe the second or third time they've browsed the site, you give them a different offer with an SMS. That's worked well, but yeah, exit intents, it makes so much sense, but there's so few that are done properly, and for e-com brands and Klaviyo, Shopify, it's just not perfect yet.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, with e-commerce nowadays, also like the majority of the traffic is coming from mobile, and I think with mobile you can't do exit intent.
Yeah, you can't
pop-ups.
track thumbs like you can track a browser cursor.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, I would like to hear your process when like a brand comes to you. Let's say they make like 80 to 100K per month, and you look at their Klaviyo setup, their email marketing. Like, what is the first thing that you look at?
Yeah, so a lot of the brands in that position are coming to us, whether it's, hey, our emails are doing 20% of our sales and I'm currently managing them and I can't afford to spend my time on that anymore. Or they're coming to us and they're saying, hey, email does 2% of our sales and we know it's a missed opportunity. No one does it right now, but we know it's important. Then we kind of figure out, okay, sometimes the brand is, the biggest benefit sometimes the brand sees is just it's professional. They set up Fiverr flows and they just have the customers perceive the brand so poorly that it's like, first things first, let's get things looking good, and hopefully performing better, and then let's focus on performance. But when we come to when we audit these accounts, we think about them in a couple different ways. Deliverability is always first. If your emails are hitting spam, no one's going to see them anyway. It doesn't matter how good they are. Then we look at flows, pre-purchase flows specifically, abandoned cart, abandoned checkout, welcome flow. Those are your revenue generating flows. Our philosophy with email is the 80-20 that's going to get you all of the results. There's, welcome email 1, abandoned cart email 1, abandoned checkout email 1. Those emails combined are going to generate you more sales than welcome emails and all of your other flows, like 3 through 8 combined. Those are just the ones that get sent the most. They have the highest buying intent, so they convert the best. Then we go post-purchase. It's also really important, especially if you're a repeat business, a repeat purchase potential business. What's your post-purchase journey like? Some people forget to exclude, 30-day past purchasers from campaigns, and maybe they're selling the same product to them over and over again. Customers get annoyed, they unsubscribe. Are you educating? There needs to be a proper post-purchase journey to complete your customer journey. That's not maybe going to generate you not a lot of sales, but it's a complete, journey. It's going to get you reviews. It's going to get you, good comments on Instagram and stuff because people like the journey, the process. Then we talked about campaigns. That's the other 40 to 70% of your email marketing sales, depending on what kind of brand you are. Are you sending enough frequency? What are you sending? Are you sending the right people? And all that kind of factors back into deliverability with those campaigns as well. But the biggest thing is some brands do some of that, some brands do none of that. When we come into an account, we kind of visualize what are the levers we can come in and pull and make a difference. What's that estimated ROI going to be? And is it an 8 to 10x what they're going to pay us as an agency to unlock that revenue? And if that ROI potential and 8 to 10x is there, that's when we start talking about the potential of working together. And it's really just the basics, man. It's the flows, deliverability. Are you growing the list? I didn't mention that one, list growth, because we kind of just talked about that. The list growth is super important. And then are you sending the right messages to the right people at the right times with campaigns?
Nice. And when it comes to the split between flows and campaigns, I think you briefly touched on that. Like for most brands, is it like a 50-50 split where the revenue should be coming from? Or what do you see for most of your clients?
That's a good question. And a lot of the brands that have those questions are like sitting around that 10 to 20 mark as far as email revenue percentage every month. And it's hard for them. Sometimes it's like, what's not working well? Is it flows? Is it campaigns? The way we see it, it's different for every brand based on the kind of products they sell and the kind of business they have. Historically, campaign sales for e-commerce brands are a lot of repeat buyers. We have one brand that sells, it's a CPG brand, they sell Whole Foods. People buy in bulk. They have $183 AOV. People buy every 3 months, often. So our campaign sales do 78% of their email marketing revenue. Even though the flows convert really well, it's just a lot of campaign sales. And every third month, we see an extra $30,000 to $50,000 come from campaigns just because that bulk 3-month cycle is kind of coming back. So 1 month might look bad on campaigns, but we're right there with flows and we're still at 37, 38%. Every third month, we hit a 45 to 48% from campaigns or total email revenue, and a lot of that's extra from campaigns. We have some clients that are more white label dropshipping type brands. One purchase, one customer, no one ever buys again. Campaigns are tough. You're going to have to send a lot of volume. You're going to have to think about your list as non-buyers. What is your best offer to non-buyers that you're willing to give them? How many times can you send that to your list, but also not train them to look at discounts? If you have a buy 2, get 3 free, you got to reuse that quite often to drive those sales because you're not getting any repeat buys. That's where we typically see campaigns are 30%, flows are 70. 50-50 is good to shoot for until you kind of figure out, okay, I just know campaign strategy wise, there's not a lot of repeat buyers. So I know that my flows need to do the heavy lifting. And that's where you kind of start to figure out what's best for your brand and where you should be putting your focus. Something we could talk about as well is a lot of brands don't know whether their email marketing should be acquisition or retention. And that kind of plays into that.
Yeah. I mean, you already mentioned that there are some brands where people just buy once and they never come back. And from my understanding, from what you just said, they should still focus on email marketing, and it is still like a good channel for them, but it's just for acquisition and for getting like the first time customers, but not for retention, right?
Yeah. And so for example, we have a couple of clients that are high AOV, a couple $1,000s. Not a lot of repeat potential buys because there's not any other real products on the website to sell them. And so their strategy, we have it's a high AOV product. So there's still a proper post-purchase journey to make sure that the customer gets the experience you would expect having spent $7,000 on something. But where the strategy comes into play, and we're still able to generate campaign sales because it's a lot of micro topic educational type emails. But for the flows, the strategy is those pre-purchase flows, abandoned cart, abandoned checkout, browser abandonment, site abandonment, welcome flow. How can we make those the main priority? Can we split the welcome flow based on what they're browsing? Are they browsing this type of collection or this type of collection? and split off the welcome flow that way so it converts better. Browse abandonment. What collection did they browse? Let's get specific. We can break all those flows down an extra way. Whereas if you have 250 SKUs, your welcome flow is going to somewhat be broad, or your browse abandonment might be somewhat broad because you have so many options. If you're a high AOV product with a lot less SKUs, you can afford to spend that time and break down those flows more specific so that the messaging is better, so that they convert better. And then on the campaign side of things, knowing everybody on that list is going to be a non-buyer because they're not repeat buying. What are the objections you need to get across the table, and what are the things that they need to see to become a first-time buyer? We do a lot of education, a lot of linking to blog posts on those campaigns.
Hmm. And what are your thoughts on creating like crazy long email flows? Because like one client has been showing us their like email marketing setup. And for a very long time, I've been trying to convince them to outsource it. I even put them in contact with you guys, like I think probably half a year ago. But for some reason,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, but for some reason they still wanna do it in house. And what they have been doing is they don't have time to do email campaigns. So they just created a welcome flow that is, I think, 1.5 years long. And basically every week or every 2 weeks, there's like one flow email in there. And it just goes on for, more than a year.
So what typically happens there, I'd be interested. I think from what I remember, they're not doing bad with email.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you know the updates there, but I don't, but I think they're doing pretty all right. And
Yeah,
some
but it's like the overall percentage of revenue is good, but it's like 95% flows
flows,
because they're not
right.
sending any campaigns, only
So
on Black Friday.
yeah, and so the interesting thing there is like what could be happening if they were sending 3 to 4 campaigns a week on top of that. I'm not against having a really long welcome flow. At a certain point, it stops becoming a welcome flow, and it's now automated campaign emails. Um, if it's set up properly, if someone abandons the cart, they're out of that welcome flow because of that filter. If someone browses a
Mm.
product, they're pushed down the funnel out of the welcome flow into the browse abandonment flow. So now that year-long flow is broken and no one's receiving those anymore. If that's how it's set up. If it's set up to where, no filters, then they get that welcome flow along with all the abandoned carts, abandoned checkouts, and it's kind of like sending campaigns and flows. But I would be curious if they built out the 8 email welcome series based on, like proper welcome flow structure, and then sent 3 to 4 campaigns a week instead of the long flow. I'd be interested to see what the results were, especially because I know that business has potential for repeat buyers, which is
Yeah.
also another thing. That welcome flow is triggered when someone joins the list. Once someone purchases, they're no longer in the welcome flow if there's profile filters that exclude them. So a lot of things could go into that. I'm against that like overall approach. It's just not the most optimal way, especially if you want to split off your welcome flow based on that zero-party data you collect on the pop-up. It just gets a little messy.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And let's say a brand is like completely overwhelmed, just wants to do the absolute bare minimum when it comes to email marketing. Like which flow should they do first? What should they focus on?
Yeah, so we build our flows in 3 stages because there's not one flow that's better than the other. It's flow emails that are better. Let's count. Welcome email 1, abandoned cart email 1 that you can use as abandoned checkout email 1. So we'll count that as one email. Site abandonment, browse abandonment, potential buyers flow. Someone browsed the product 3 times in the last week, pretty high intent. And then a post-purchase flow for overall buyers. So the thank you email. That there's 6 emails right there that I would set up. Those pre-purchase flows, email 1, those are going to generate you more sales than the back half of all those other flows combined. For most brands. And then I would write, at least with AI, you could probably get away with writing. You could probably spend the time and write two campaigns a week, plain text only. and send 2 campaigns out a week and do those 5 or 6 flow emails, and you'd cover the bases up until you get to, that 80, 100K a month mark.
Nice.
Now, the important part there is those triggers. You'll set up those flows. You'll probably use the templates from Klaviyo. Be aware the abandoned cart's actually a started checkout. All those kind of little things. You don't know the profile filters. There's videos on YouTube from wonderful guys like us. No, I'm just there are videos on YouTube to set up those flows, triggers, and filters. Plenty of guides, so you should be good there. But those are the 6 emails that I'd set up.
Okay. So in your opinion, it makes more sense to have like from every flow 1 email rather than really focus on one flow and make it perfect?
Yeah, if there's one flow, let's say you're like, that's such a dumb idea, Michael, I don't want to listen to you. Set up your welcome flow. It's going to be, if you have a pop-up, if your list isn't growing, then a lot of times your welcome flow isn't more profitable than an abandoned cart flow. But yeah, there's the emails are more important. If everybody pulled up their Klaviyo accounts right now, they'd probably see the welcome email 1 and abandoned cart email 1 is a bulk of their flow revenue.
Yeah. And like going back to the plain text emails, like I see those crush, and I see so many brands are using them nowadays. And yeah, I think it's just because it's still like something different. Like a couple months or a couple years ago, I think every brand was only doing like designed emails, beautiful looking, high quality, designs. And people tend to like those plain text emails more or equally as the designed ones, just because they're more authentic, more interesting, and also look like a normal email that someone sends you. And yeah, we've also seen those crush for some of the brands.
Yeah, the key word there is authentic. That was like the start of 2025. I wrote an email out to my list that was all about authenticity, and I was like, that's why plain texts I think are working. The plain texts that are working for our clients are these like super specific micro topic storytelling, direct response style emails where it's like we're educating through a story, and it's in a very interesting, like authentic approach. A lot of our clients are also sending us voice notes. I'll expose some sauce here. We get our clients to send us voice notes, updating us on their brand, their business. We have one client who sells hats. Ripped us a voice note the other day. Got into a couple wholesale deals. He's in Buckle. He's in a couple other store locations. Real excited about the growth. He was just out of stock for a while. We got some stock in. Things were going well. Turned that into a couple plain text emails, and every month those plain text emails are the top performers. And he's getting emails back, and they're like, dude, I love your brand and your story so much. And he's like, that's so cool. I'm not even sending them. People are interested in my story, not the brand, but the story of the brand and my story. And it's because consumers in 2025, I believe, are craving authenticity. There's a brand for everything. There's 100 million brands for everything. What is going to get me to buy? It's my connection to the brand. It's that world building ask. You think about a brand like Kill Crew, their shirts and shorts and t-shirts and stuff. You're buying into the world that they've created. So when I buy something from a brand and someone asks me what kind of brand is that? And then I tell them the story of the brand versus, it's from Amazon. People want that now. People are researching. People want to find the stories. People want to find the founders on social. They want to see where they came from, where it's made, how it's made. And the people giving consumers that content through all kinds of content, but also through plain text are just reciprocating really well with their audiences and almost taking that world building approach to how they talk to their audience.
Yeah. I mean, we also see that on the ads side of things, where like founders ads and like videos or ads where like the founder talks about the brand, talks about the story, talks about how they're building the brand right now. How those are just like the best performing creatives oftentimes. Right. And kind of nowadays, if you start an e-commerce brand, in my opinion, it makes things significantly easier if you at the same time start a personal brand or at least are willing to also like create content, document the journey. And I know a lot of brands don't want to do that, or a lot of founders don't want to do that. And it also works without it. But it makes everything easier because people love those authentic brands.
I feel like people think that there's brands and then there's creator-led brands. And like, it doesn't have to be such a daunting thing to talk about what you do. I think we probably also go through some of this as well. I know I definitely do, where it's like, I should share more about what I'm doing and what we're working on because it's interesting. We just end up not doing it sometimes. But for an e-commerce brand, and I'm sure Camilo talked about this on one of the last podcasts. I need to go and watch it. Is like marketing and ads needs to feel like content we're consuming. And as a business owner, I see so much content from business owners, but it's more fascinating to someone who probably doesn't know about business, or it's more intriguing to someone who doesn't know, like, oh, I know what that person does all day. They sit at their laptop and work just like I do. But when you start to create that content of simply documenting what's going on, where your first warehouse, look at me, I'm packing orders in my garage. People actually really care about that. The last 5 brands that I've bought from are from a founder-led video that I was like, that's actually a sick brand. He also happens to be a sick person. And now when someone asks me about that brand, if someone asks me about that brand, I feel some sort of connection to it. It's like, oh, I almost feel like this is my friend that I bought a brand from, or a product from. And that is, I feel like, what consumers want. And it's simple content. It's documentation rather than, super specific curated content. Just talk about what you're doing. Those are the brands. You go on TikTok, what's the person I see all the time on, they reference them all the time on creator-led brands. It's like a bikini brand. She just posts content about running her bikini brand. She's from Canada, I think. But it's simple content. It's like, here's me working in the office today. It's like, I did nothing, but like, it was a fun day. Like, dude, that's so easy to post and people want it and watch it. And I'm sure you see some of those social posts that your clients do, that turn into ads, that can be turned into ads.
Yeah, definitely. No, I totally agree with that. And I mean, it's with the content, I think it's similar to the like plain text emails, where it's not as much about like how much effort you put into it. It's just about like sharing something valuable, something interesting, something real, without editing a lot, without putting a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, so one of our clients, we do a mixture of all of those things. We'll have the really nice plain text that we wrote, and then we'll have like the most, like, just a brain dump of like founder thoughts. And those emails are like choppy. They're kind of somewhat manic in a way on an email person. Like, you would read that email from AI and you'd be like, dude, where are we at with this? What's going on? But then you read it from the founder and it's like, we're working on this, we're doing that. I'm so excited for this launch. We just restocked this. You guys don't even know what's coming. And you send that, like, grammar mistakes, commas, everything's messed up. And those will rip the best sometimes. So I would say a lot of people talk to their email list as if it's an email list rather than just a group of people that like what you're doing. It's all it is. It's all it is. It's not a corporate-y thing. It's just like, it's an extension of your content. And I think the brands who think about it that way get the best results.
Yeah, that's so cool. And I mean, when our clients also like create, record content, record ads, we always tell them that they should just think about talking to like one person, to one customer or one potential customer, or even imagine that they talk to a friend and just tell them something about the product, and not how they think they should talk to like thousands or millions of people, but just to like casually speaking to one person, and it makes it way better.
And that's something that I actually just wrote an email about this, specific to high AOV brands, but we can talk about it broadly. Is like, your email marketing is essentially just an extended conversation with someone who's interested in buying your products. And if you think about that like a car sale, maybe not a car because buying cars is fairly normal. So there's not a lot of talk. There's still some, but let's say it's more like a white glove, we're going to buy this house. Let's sit down and discuss buying this house. And your flows are where they're at in the buying journey. Someone might be like, I've never considered buying a house before, but today I am. Someone might be like, dude, I've been searching for a house for a year and I just can't quite figure out which one I like. Some people might say, hey, I'm actually moving from this house. I just sold it. Now I got to buy this house. But I'm nervous about financing. There's different things. The flows are the conversation streams based on where they're at in that buying journey. You're having that conversation, you're picking up from where they're at, abandoned cart. I don't really know if this is going to work. I don't know, what shipping is going to be like. I don't know what return policies are like. Well, let's start the conversation there and work closer to the sale. A lot of people don't think about flows as those conversations as a sales process. And then sometimes they think too much about it on campaigns. We send campaigns. The goal here is one email, one idea, one goal. Sometimes clients think when they're sending those emails, they have to pack everything, that whole sales process, that whole flow sales process into one campaign email. And then it's a word vomit that you can't keep up with. The goal with those campaigns is to educate, to nurture, to build social proof, build your perception of the brand, but sell the click. Get them to the website, get them to a blog, get them to a product page, get them to a landing page, and do the rest of the educating and selling there versus the campaign. And then if they don't buy, they did something on the website. Now they trigger the flow that triggers the conversation that they need to be having. And when you think about it like that, it's like, oh, it's just a longer sales process split up in different conversations, which is the best way I think to think about it.
Yeah. I see a lot of similarities to ads, where also a lot of people think that like one creative, one ad has to do like all of the selling, even though that's not how it works. Like the ad's purpose is only to get them to click, to get them to go to the website or to consume the content, and then guide them forward in the buying journey, and not to do like everything.
Yeah, my favorite ads are the info product ads that are like, oh, you viewed this and you didn't buy it. Like those are always the funniest ones because they're like so directly like talking into your soul. They're like, dude, you didn't buy it. You didn't buy. Like, what's going on? And it's like, damn, dude, how'd you know? Just a nice little retargeting ad there. But yeah, I think about it the same. Like the ads, I feel like are very much the same. You're just picking off where they're at in the buying journey, and sometimes you create that buying journey to start. Oh, I've never seen this before. What's that? Click. Now you're in the ecosystem. You're in the world. It's just like a spider web. You're just getting them in, and you're giving them enough content to eventually get to the conclusion of whether or not they would benefit from buying your product.
Yeah. And I imagine you judge every single brand you interact with on a daily basis in terms of their email marketing. Would you say that still does email marketing impact your buying behavior from a brand?
Not as a personal consumer. I think all of my clients are the same way. Like when people ask what I do, it's like, hey, those random pop-ups that you get on websites. It's like, give me your email for 10% off. They're like, yeah. Like we send out those emails. They're like, oh, but that is not the sentiment for all consumers out there. I mean, your brand should be generating at least 30% from Klaviyo most times. As a consumer, I don't sign up to emails. I don't check my email inbox like that, my personal, right? And most business owners probably don't. So when we have those conversations, they're like, oh, that's just so annoying. I'm like, I mean, it's annoying for me too, but as you see, like the direct correlation of more emails to more recipients equals more money. Who am I to say that you shouldn't be buying something from an email, right? So as a consumer, it doesn't sway me, just because I don't look at it. But you know what'll sway me? An Instagram ad. 100%. That's what's getting me the ad. I'm an ad to buy person. I'm not an ad to email person. Because I know when I click that ad, I'm almost in already. So that's how I think about it. But the consumer mindset's just so different, and you really have to. I know a lot of brands when starting to write their own emails, they miss everything because they know so much. It's like, hey, that's assumed you know that because you're the founder of the brand. let's educate everybody else on it. So I think the consumer mindset's just totally different.
Yeah. And I also think that, like, at least with ads, a lot of people think that they're not impacted by it and that they didn't buy because of the ad or whatever. But in reality, they saw the ad and it reminded them of something. It handled one of their objections and in the end led to the purchase, and they just don't realize it.
And the best ads you don't even look at as ads. Like I love looking at software ads, or I love getting software ads because I had searched the software before and I know what I liked about it. So I'm interested to see what the ad's about to show me. And I will see a software ad for something that's a competitor to the software that I wanted to use. And then I'll be like, oh, actually, I need to go back and sign up for that other one. So there's just like so many things you can say you were like doing your own thing, but it's really nice every now and then to just get a little reminder like, hey, you browse this, or you were going to buy this, or like, check this out. You were checking this out. Yeah, ads sway everyone. I don't think we can claim that they don't. A good ad sways everyone for sure. At least gets you thinking like, what is this?
Yeah. And going back to email and SMS, like, where do you see the trend going, especially with AI and everything this year and next year?
I think things only get better, man. AI is so amazing. We have custom agents for every client, so it's trained on their brands and 250,000 plus characters of market research and onboarding form, and we scraped Reddit for all these reviews. There's so many things that you can do with AI, and as far as like trends, I think things continue. People still crave authenticity. People still crave real brands that deliver great products. I think as a brand owner, if you have a great product, it's your obligation to tell as many people as possible about it. And if you don't feel that way, you probably don't have a great product. You should be feeling as if everyone should have one if it's right for them. And so the biggest thing is like the more recipients you can reach with the right message, the more money you're going to make. I think with AI and everything, I don't think there's one person that benefits more than potentially an e-commerce brand owner. Getting to 50 to 80K a month, you've never been more helped with AI. That first landing page copy, that first ad created from Canva, that first 5 variations of that first welcome email, that first campaign, even the first ad creative itself, all that can come from AI. So your 0 to 1 is so ridiculously cheap now. You don't have to find the design agency to come up with the packaging or buy the first, you don't have any revenue. You can do so many things yourself now with AI that I often think as an agency owner, I feel helped by it. But as an e-com brand owner, that 0 to 1, that 0 to 50 to 80 to 100K, you're just like, you just now have so many things that can help you. I think it's never been a better time to start, and it's never been a better time to spend some of that time into, with AI and just figuring out what you can do.
Yeah. So exciting.
It really is. Every week's different now, especially with the AI stuff.
Yeah. Now, the last question. If you could tell every e-commerce brand owner to just implement one thing today when it comes to their email marketing, what would it be?
If you can write one email a week, 30 minutes a week spend on email, you can get, whether that's a campaign, whether that's this week, I'm going to write the welcome flow, email 1, banner card email 2, or email 1. After a month or two, you're going to have your basics. If you really care and you really want to be successful and you want to set yourself up, just take 2, 3, 4 hours to write 6 emails and one campaign a week. Your pocket's not going to hurt. It's going to be feeling nice. And, after the first time you write with AI and stuff, it's going to be quicker. So it might take you 2 hours. That 2 hours is so infinitely valuable for those 6 flow emails that we talked about earlier. And in the occasional manic brain dump founder plain text email, you might feel like no one cares. You might feel like people don't want to hear from it. You might feel like it's annoying. It's not, and you're only going to make more money from it. So I think those 2 hours are immensely valuable. I think that's the difference between getting to 50K a month and already generating, a couple $1,000s a month from email over the last 8 months, which is nice. It's nice to have a couple extra $1,000s every month from something that took you 2 hours. So I think it just sets you up way better once you get to that 50, 80K a month mark.
Yeah, love that. Now, where can people follow you, and how can they start working with you?
Yeah, they can look us up on our website at sumodigital.com. Maybe there's a link below. And then my Twitter is Michael Rathman7. You can find us on YouTube as well if you just search Michael Rathman email marketing. That's probably the best spot to find us, on our website or on our YouTube channel.
Awesome. Yeah, that was great. Thank you for a lot of very valuable insights. And
thank you, man.
Yeah,
thank you for
have
having
a great
me.
rest of your day.
We got to do these more often. I love talking to the ads guys, man. All the homies run ads as well. So a lot of good conversations.
Nice. Love that.
Awesome, man. Take care.
Take care.